Hello, how are you today? My name is Jeremy Herron, and I will be recording my therapeutic intervention for my client today who is having some presenting problems with some ADHD. Hello, how you doing today? My name is Jeremy Herron. I'm doing very well, thank you for asking. Today I'm going to be speaking with you about some presenting problems that I kind of gathered from some things that you reported, as well as talking to your parents and some of your teachers at school. First and foremost, I would like to say that everything we do discuss today is completely confidential. I won't disclose any of this information to your parents or to your teachers unless it somehow becomes a threat to yourself or your safety. Some of the interventions that we do discuss today need to be communicated with your teachers, but if there's some things that we talk about that you don't want disclosed to your teachers, that's at your discretion, and I will not disclose them. So it says here that you're having some issues with school, your grades are slipping, and you're having some issues with some friends, making friends, keeping friends, things like that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you tell me about that a little bit?
I'm having really a lot of trouble paying attention in class. I daydream a lot, and I haven't really had any luck with keeping friends.
Okay. And you're 15, correct?
Yes.
Okay. It says here you just recently started a new school, correct?
Yes.
Okay, it's first marking period? Okay, and how are your grades?
They were better before.
They were better before. Okay. What's going on with the friends? You're having problems. You said you're having some issues making friends. What's going on with that?
I had a few friends, but then we had some falling out because they said I was too bossy.
Okay.
And we haven't talked since.
So they said you're being a little bossy. Okay. Tell me about your parents. It says your parents are named Frank and Sarah, and you have a sister named Lisa, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How's your relationship with your parents?
Really good.
Okay. Seem to be supportive. They seem to be very supportive when I spoke to them. Seem to be motivated in helping you, and they're concerned, but they're also very proud of you, and they collectively we all just want to try to get you back on track a little bit. So we're going to work on some of that stuff today. Being 15 and in a new school is not easy, so I kind of understand some of the challenges associated with that. And then you add some attention issues and things like that, and some classroom issues. Collectively, it can kind of seem like a mess at times, right? Okay.
Yes.
Well, good. We'll try to start isolating some of the things from your presenting problems, and hopefully we have some strategies that can kind of contribute to some improvements in your presenting problems. So we'll discuss that. How would a perfect day for you look in school?
I would laugh and have friends, and maybe get all my homework done and have my classwork all together in a binder so I knew what I was doing.
Okay, so to be a little bit more in control of your day.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's tough. How does that make you feel when you go to school and you're kind of struggling to be on top of things? Like, how does that necessarily make you feel?
Overwhelmed, and then I shut down.
Okay, so you're feeling overwhelmed, and okay, so there's a lot going on that you're trying to manage, is what basically. Okay. Well, there's some interventions that I would like to discuss with you on some of those things. Do you currently use a calendar?
No.
Okay, so what do you typically do when you have a big assignment or a test or something coming up?
I try to write it down.
Okay. Where do you usually try to write it down at?
Whatever piece of paper I have.
Okay. What often happens to that piece of paper?
I either lose it or most of the time I lose it.
You lose it? Okay. So, I brought you some stuff today. I actually have a handout of some things that I would like to discuss with you, that I also am going to discuss with your teachers on how we can kind of get back on track with engagement in an assignment. So that's yours, and we can review this together. I also have a notebook and some other things that I'll touch base with on in a minute. So in the classroom, these are some of the things that we can discuss with your teacher as far as when you're working on an assignment. We can have your teacher, I'm going to speak to them to give you step-by-step instructions. You think that would be helpful?
I think it would be.
Okay, and then you can write them down or write them as an outline so you can refer back to them. So if you and the teacher, if you do find yourself daydreaming, you get off track a little bit, when you do re-engage attentively, your outline's there, so you don't necessarily have to raise your hand and ask the teacher to go back 5 steps. So we can cover it with that. We can also talk to your teacher. I'm going to talk to your teacher to let the teacher tell you why the information is important. I think that would be beneficial. To say, Carol, this part is important because this might be on a test, or this might be something that we need to transition to the next part of the assignment. So I think that would be beneficial for you if the teacher tells you specifically why you should be paying attention. And then engages you and her in a verbal dyadic conversation that could also maybe keep you engaged. Okay. I'm going to also ask your teacher if she can check in frequently to make sure you're understanding each step of the work. Does that typically happen in the classroom?
No.
Okay, well, in high school it's a little different, you know. There's also some responsibilities that you have to remain engaged, and sometimes that's expected of you. But I could also meet with the teacher to say it may be advantageous for her to kind of talk to you and making sure you understand each part of the assignment as you go. And hopefully I'll be supportive of that. So I want you to also, here's some notebooks. You can have this. Here's a folder. Here's a notebook that you can take. I want you to start writing down, when you have an assignment, I want you to start writing down step by step what the assignment entails. You can also use techniques where if the teacher tells you the directions, that you can say back to the teacher the directions that she gave to you. You can reiterate the directions back to the teacher, and she can confirm this is the way that she wants you to engage in an assignment. So that's another thing we can work on. Calendars. Here's a calendar for you. I know you said you write things on a piece of paper. Here's a calendar. Refer to this calendar. If you have a test date, any major assignments, put it on the calendar. I'm going to speak to your teacher. I'm going to see if we can set something up where you meet with your teacher 2 times a week, maybe at the beginning of the week or midweek, or maybe even at the end of the week, so you can review important dates for your class. I'm actually going to draft up a small contract. I'm going to make you, not going to make you, I'm going to suggest that you collaboratively work together. She'll sign off when you guys meet as a confirmation that you are recording and documenting important dates. Here's a folder, and we can put your student schedule, upcoming school events, anything you find important that needs to be important or has some kind of date. I want you to use this as a reference.
Okay.
That's what we're going to start working on, Carol. Every time that there is an important date or a directive or some kind of instruction, I want you to visually document it and have it as a visual reference that you can refer back to.
Okay.
So you're not looking for a piece of paper that last Monday you wrote a date on. It keeps you a little bit more engaged collectively in the whole process. It's also in the notebook I gave you, we should make a daily to-do list. Some things that you do every day in the morning. So you can write a checklist on some things to make sure you're studying and making sure you're engaging in classes. Yeah, these are some markers for you. You can have these. These are some sticky notes that you can have. Anytime that you need a visual reference or reminder of something, I want you to write it and stick it. It might seem silly, but I'm kind of trying to overkill this reference stuff.
Okay.
Write it down, stick it down on a piece of paper, reference. If you're done with it, it goes in the folder. And luckily, when you said your miracle question would be that you'd like to have an organized binder and have some things that you can refer to. Here's a binder. This is yours to keep. Everything goes in that.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Right, so that kind of goes along with the folder. If you look for the organizational parts of the intervention, keep a daily to-do list on the desk so you can check off consecutively what your responsibilities are for the day. Keep folders and baskets and supplies available. There's your markers, there's some sticky pads, some sticky notes, and there's your binder and your folder. So I want you to start using this. Keep referencing what your responsibilities are as a student. Okay? So, that all coincides with some of the organizational parts of executive functioning theory. They say that individuals that are diagnosed with ADHD have for lack of a better term, a dysfunction in self-regulation, which is task initiation, organization, things like that. So, I wanted to address the mechanical parts and the accommodations that need to be environmental accommodations that we need to have made as the first part of the intervention. There's actually a part of the intervention that focuses on your behavior as well, and your social awareness and how your behavior kind of affects your environment and how others perceive your environment. So we'll proceed with that momentarily. Now, it also said that based on the lack of organization and your current school situation, that you are having some issues with anxiety and some lack of motivation and things like that, correct? Tell me a little bit about that.
When I start daydreaming and then the class is over, it just gets me really overwhelmed, and I just have some anxiety with it.
Okay.
And then I had a couple fights with the friends I did have, and so when I go into the lunchroom, a lot of times it just gives me anxiety being there.
Okay.
Because I feel labeled.
Feel labeled. Okay. All right. So let me ask you this: What do you like to do for fun?
I like to ride dirt bikes and run.
Okay. When's the last time you have engaged in those behaviors?
Before the winter.
Okay, so it's been a pretty cold winter. It's been not good weather for riding dirt bikes or running, correct?
No.
So it's been a while since you've done that. Okay. Well, it's very, very important that now that the springtime is upon us, that you re-engage in those things that activate positive thoughts. A lot of times we get away from what makes us happy and we get sidetracked, and that typically can lead to temporary depression and lack of motivation. So engaging in things that make us happy, and this could be a correlation to why maybe you're having some attention issues in school. I know that you've been diagnosed with ADHD, but there's also some environmental factors that come into play that might be contributing negatively to the overall situation. So it's very, very important that you get back into what activates positive thoughts. Riding your dirt bike, running, spending time with your family, things like that, taking time for yourself. They're all really therapeutic measures that could assist us with some of this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about being a little bit vigilant of how our behaviors affect our environment. Why are you experiencing some issues with some of your friends, do you think?
A lot of them tell me to mind my business, or they tell me I'm really bossy.
Okay. Now, when they tell you to mind your business, are you engaging in conversations that necessarily don't pertain to you, so to speak?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you invited into these conversations?
No, but I feel like it's something I can talk to them about.
Okay.
So I try to talk to them, but they tell me it's not my business.
Right. So they're perceiving the situation to you being nosy, wanting to know information when you're actually trying to be helpful. Okay. Yeah, that's super important to realize that, you're trying to be helpful and you think that you're trying to do something positive, which you most likely are. Unfortunately, they are receiving that and perceiving that to be you just wanting information. So, are these people that you would like to do you have an interest in having a relationship with?
Some of them.
Okay. Right, so this is something that we might need to work on. So what are some things we can do to consciously not engage in something that doesn't pertain to us?
Maybe just do what I was doing, and if I'm not invited in the conversation, just stay quiet.
Right. What about eye contact? Should you be trying to make eye contact with these people when they're having a conversation that you weren't necessarily invited to be in?
No.
No. Good. What should we be focusing on in the classroom?
The classwork.
Right. Okay. So what are some other things we can employ, to address that? What if you find yourself that you can't stay out of a conversation with people that are having a conversation in the classroom?
Maybe say excuse me.
Yeah, you can say excuse me. You can also ask the teacher maybe to have your seat changed. Some things like that. So that's another thing. Yeah, sometimes our behaviors say something differently than what we want them to say. Like, you're trying to be helpful, and unfortunately it's perceived as you trying to be nosy and be bossy and things like that. Now, what about, they said you're being bossy. How are you bossy in the friendships?
I just get really mad when they don't do what I want to do, and they want to do something else.
Okay. So, do you usually get mad every time that there's a group event and it's something that you necessarily didn't
No,
start?
but sometimes I get overwhelmed if it's not something I normally do.
Okay.
And I want to do something else.
You want to do something else, so do you make that suggestion that you don't want to do what the group is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's another thing that we can work on. And these are a group of people that you would like to continue to be friends with?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to have to work on trying to be a little bit more flexible. And you can explain this to them. You know, you can explain this to your friends, saying that, you guys, this is a part of my personality. I struggle with that. But I really want to hang out with you guys and I want to be friends with you guys. So yeah, I will engage in some things that necessarily are not what I want to do. You got to try not to be pushy with telling them what they want. You know, this is what I want to do and I don't want to do what you want to do. So that's how we just need to kind of work on a little bit how I want you to think about how your behavior could possibly be perceived. Not what you think you're doing, it's how someone else, your environment, perceives your behavior to be.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
So let's review some things. We're out of time. Let me check. Okay. Give it a couple more minutes. I would like to, conclude with some things. So you said that you were having some problems with initiating engagement in the classroom, organizational skills, not paying attention in class because you get overwhelmed with direction-oriented assignments and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start writing those down. We're going to start repeating them back to the teacher. I'm going to talk to the teacher and your support staff to make sure that they are explaining to you the significance of the information that you guys are learning in class and why it's important. I want you to start writing important dates down with the calendars. On the way out, I'm going to have your contracts with your teachers that twice a week that you're going to meet with the teachers to make sure that your calendar's filled out and that you're putting down important dates, assignments, things like that, and that's confirmed. So that's good. You have your markers, you have your sticky notes, you have your binder. That was all talked about in your miracle question. What would make your day feel better? What would make your day be perfect? I'm sorry. Let me see what else I'm going to cover. Do you understand everything with the confidentiality?
Yeah.
Okay, are you okay with me disclosing some of these environmental supports that we're going to put in with your teachers?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'll tell them to make sure that you are trying your best to be organized. With your friends, what are we going to try to do with your friends?
I'm going to just try to be honest with them and explain that I am working through some things.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to try not to put ourselves in conversations that we're not necessarily invited in?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, what do I ultimately want you to understand about how your behavior is what with your friends?
That what I think I'm doing is not what they might think I'm doing.
Yeah, so there might be a perception issue. They might be perceiving something differently than what you're actually trying to do. Okay, and that's something else you can explain to them, saying, these are my intentions. My intentions are not to be solely to be nosy. I think I can help you. And if they don't necessarily want your help at that point, then you know that it might be a good time to refrain from trying to intervene with some of that stuff at the moment. Okay. But yeah, I wanted to cover one more quick thing. I want to talk about some community. I saw it noted that you and your parents were not necessarily aware that there were some community agencies out there that could also help you with some things. 2 blocks from your home, they just opened a community center where they are going to be offering tutoring. So if there's any classes that are you having issues with some, I know you're having issues with attention, but is there some classes that you're not understanding things?
Math.
Okay, so you're having some issues with math. That's awesome because it's not awesome you're having issues, but there's a person there who's going to be tutoring twice a week, which I did have a chance to talk to your mom, and your mom said that she can give you a ride there after work. It doesn't conflict with your schedule, so That's nice. She said that she would make sure if you want tutoring and need some tutoring, that she could get you there. It's like I said, it's 2 blocks from your house, so technically you could walk really if you needed to. It's good that your family is supportive. You know, they said that they're willing to talk to your teachers as well. They're actually going to be present for a meeting with your support staff and your teachers, so we can kind of cover this kind of stuff and make sure the environmental supports are put in place in your class. And we're going to go from there. Is there any questions?
No, I think I'm okay.
So what are we going to do with this stuff?
I'm gonna write notes and more notes, and I'm going to put it in my folder, and I'm also gonna write on my calendar.
Okay.
And put it all in a binder so it's in one place.
Okay. Where are we going to keep your binder?
With me.
Okay, you're going to
In
keep
my book
it.
bag.
Okay. All right. Well, it was very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And like I said, I'll communicate this stuff with your teachers, and hopefully we can get you back on track with being organized and get your grades up, because I know you can do it.
All right.
All right, Carol. It's
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you. Yep.
You too.